So in this video, I'm just going over a few concepts in our CLEP College Algebra series. In the first video, you guys have seen that I've covered most of the questions from number 7 and all the way to number 15, I believe. And now what I want to do is I want to set you up for success by giving you hints and strategies to handle the next set of problems. Now, please remember that when we do this test, next week, God willing, when we do this assessment, I will not be using all the questions, but I'll be using the same questions here. So let's actually do a recap of the questions that I'm interested in the first 15 questions. So the first question I'm interested in is number 2. Can you do number 2 without your notes, for example, right? It's a compound inequality. You do whatever you do to the left and the right. Whatever you do to the center, you do to the left and the right, right? So that's number 2. You should be able to tackle number 2. You should also be able to tackle number 3, where we're talking about the domain and the range of that particular problem. That's number 3. And then number 5 is a great problem as well, right? So I'm listing off the problems that you should make sure you're comfortable with as we do a wrap up of our school year. Number 6 was fun, where you were finding the summation of those values, where you're plugging in each of the values of x. So the summation part is great. Number 6 would be a good bonus question. Okay, so that's bonus there. So number 6 is bonus, but you should still, give it your best to be able to try it. The next question is number 7. We should be able to simplify logarithms by applying the exponential form, putting it in the exponential form, and then solving the problem to the end. The next one after that is number 9. Number 9 is a system of quadratic equations where you can graph them and see where they intersect. The other way to solve number 9 is to set them equal to one another, and that will give you the answer that you need. After number 9, we should also be able to do number 10, which uses the rules of exponents. You have a negative exponent, so you bring that down to the denominator, whatever, like x to the negative 2, you should be able to bring that down, and you should get a complex fraction, and the rest is history. Then number 11, we should be able to find the slope if we're given 2 points. That's what number 11 is about. You should be able to find the slope and then use that to find the slope-intercept form of the equation of a line. Number 12 is fun. That's a good bonus question as well, and that's using composition of functions. So number 6 and number 12, bonus questions for you. Number 14 is dealing with a factorial, which is where you just take a number, like 4 factorial is 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. 6 factorial is 6 times 5 times 4 times 3 times 2 times 1. So we should be comfortable with using those factorials for number 6. For number 14. So number 14 is a good one to know in terms of using factorials. But if you feel like I'm not comfortable with factorials, these are still new for me, that's okay. So let's put that in the category of bonus as well. Okay, so especially for those who are new to the college algebra CLEP sequence, that is fine, no problem. Okay, number 15, which of the following graphs is not a function? Remember the vertical line test. The vertical line test is very important. Okay, so you should be able to use the vertical line test to tell if something is a function or not. Okay, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. 3 of them are bonus, so we have about 8 problems we should be able to tackle. Take very good notes as we go through this. So today what I'm going to do is set you up for success over the next series of questions. So I'm going to actually focus on only specific questions this morning. I'll start the question and I'll show you how to tackle it. And then my hope is that you can go ahead and basically work it to the end. So I'm going to get you going and then you just need to finish it. That's part of your goal now. So you finish reviewing the previous videos and now you can use this video to launch into solving the next set of problems. So that leads us to number 16. In number 16, it says 3 plus I divided by 1 minus I. 3 plus I divided by 1 minus I. So you have to use the conjugate. So basically you multiply both the top and bottom by 1 plus I. So on the numerator you have 3 plus I and 1 plus I. And in the denominator you basically have a difference of 2 squares. 1 minus I and 1 plus I. So how does the question continue? You go ahead and distribute like you're foiling. You do that for the numerator and you do that for the denominator as well. Please show your work as you do these. It'll be very good to see the work that you do on this. And so basically when you distribute, you have 3 plus 3i plus 1i plus I squared. And in the denominator, you have 1 plus 1i minus 1i minus I squared. So keep in mind that I squared is the square root, well actually I is the square root of negative 1. I squared is negative 1. So remember that approach. So therefore, you put in negative 1 when you see I squared. You see, everywhere you see I squared, you put in negative 1. That's how we'll solve that problem to the end. Okay, so that's number 16. Number 17, so as I said, today you will finish out the problem. I'm just going to get you going on some of these problems. Number 17 says 4 to the x minus 1 is equal to log base 8 of 64. So solve for x. So basically, remember, with the log form and the exponential form, this is the same thing as saying essentially log base 64 of some unknown. Let's call it w. That means 8 to the w is actually equal to 64. Now, what is w in this case? This is 8w is equal to 8 squared. So w is equal to 2, right? So that's how we take it from the log form to the exponential form, and then from the exponential form, we're able to show that if these are the same, then the powers will be the same, and the answer will be w is equal to 2. So this whole thing here is actually 2. So it's 4x minus 1 is equal to 2. This is the same thing as 2 squared. So notice that this part just became 2 squared, right? 4 is 2 squared, but now you have that 2 that you distribute into those values. So that becomes, because these numbers are the same, we can say 2x minus 2 is equal to 1. So notice I can distribute this 2 into both of them. So it becomes 2x minus 2 is equal to 1. I can add 2 to both sides. I get 3, I get 2x. So x is equal to 3 over 2. That's a fun question, actually. So basically, we started here. We had to change log base 8 of 64. We got that value to basically be 2. This whole thing is 2. And then we took this left side and we did the work and we got to this point. So you should be able to try that problem as well. So here we're keeping a list of questions that I think are fair. And I'm going to add number 16 and number 17 as a bonus. Okay? But please, just because it's called bonus doesn't mean you shouldn't try it. I'm just saying that it is one that might require a little more practice. I want you to try every problem, bonus or non-bonus. But these are the questions I'm most concerned about on our assessment next week. The next question is saying simplify, and they give you all these values. Find the lowest common denominator. Well, the way to find the lowest common denominator with number 18 is to factor each value in the denominator. So factor each one of them. So in number 18, you have to factor each one. So 2x plus 6 is the same thing as 2 into x plus 3. That's how you factor that. 3x minus 9 is the same thing as 3 into x minus 3. The next one is 4x squared plus 12x. You factor out 4x into x plus 3. So when you're finding the lowest common denominator, you circle the things they have and only use them once. So you're going to use x plus 3 once because you're looking for the lowest common denominator. You only have one x minus 3. So basically you're going to have x plus 3. You're going to have x minus 3 just because you only have one of those values. You have two of these, so you represent them as one value, x plus 3. You have a 2, you have a 3, and you have a 4x. But 2 is included in 4x. So you don't have to write both of them here. You only write the 4. X is by itself, so you write the x over here. 3 is by itself, so you write the 3 over here. So basically, to find the lowest common denominator, take the values that you've been given and find the ones they share in common, write those out. The ones they don't share in common, put them down by themselves. So the lowest common denominator here becomes 12x into x plus 3, x minus 3. So that's how I would find the solution to number 18. Number 19, solve for x. X squared is equal to 2x plus 2. So quickly, I'm going to write number 18, I'm going to write number 19, and then I'm going to write number 20. Okay, so solve for x. X squared is equal to 2x plus 2. So x squared is equal to 2x plus 2. Basically, move everything to one side. So you're going to have x squared minus 2x minus 2. So I've moved everything to one side. Set it equal to 0 and use the quadratic formula. Set it equal to 0 and use the quadratic formula. So I will continue that in the next video where I'll talk a little bit about number 19 and 20. And then I'll let you work on basically go back and review from number 2 all the way to number 20 and try doing it again. If you have any questions, you can find, you basically try explaining it to somebody else is my recommendation. But why don't we do that? We'll focus on number 1 to 20, and then I will give you the notes for the next series of lessons in another video. I'll go ahead and get number 19 and 20 going, and I'll send that to today.